Well, here we are at the War Memorial in Doylestown. Pretty impressive spot in many ways. Traffic rolling around, wind on a 80-something degree day. Here we just want to talk about what you both do. So, either one of you want to start off? Like, how did this start? How did this program start? Why did it start? Let's start off with that.
Okay, how did this start? It actually started because my son, who was 11 years old at the time, had an idea to put this Honor and Courage program together. And he came to me with a list of ideas that he had and asked me for help to help him, get this rolling. And so I did. And I went to another organization at the time and asked them if they would umbrella us until we went out on our own and got our own 501c3. And here we are today. And my 11-year-old son had since went on to become a Marine, and now he's a Marine Corps veteran and going into the reserves.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you. What's the main purpose and vision? I mean, you just said why you started it, but what is it now? What is it?
To support and assist our veterans and law enforcement to the best of our ability. Whatever they need, we'll do whatever we can. If we can't do it, we're going to find somebody who can do it for them. We have multiple programs that'll help our veterans. We have a 24/7 hotline, which I run and John runs. We have a stellate ganglion block program, which I'd really love to talk about in a little bit. We have a Vietnam veteran program, which is very, very successful. Over 50 years after the Vietnam War, our Vietnam veterans are still struggling to this day.
Absolutely. Yeah. John, how did you come up to be a partner in this, get involved?
So my story actually starts, I believe it was around 2015. Went through a very big kind of tragedy in my town with one of my really good friends at the time, committed some acts of violence and ended up ultimately taking his life. And I was really struggling. And one of the police officers told me about this woman named Heather and an organization that she ran with the crisis hotline, and got me connected with her. And I think the first time I reached out was over text. I was in a police station, laying on the floor, just in the middle of the night, just waiting for information to come out about what was going on. And I sent Heather a text, and she was there and never left.
Yeah.
So here we are all these years later, and she's like part of my family now.
Yeah, and from what I know about Heather, is that's what it is. Once you become part of her family, she never lets go, and you're welcome and you're embraced. And it seems like that's the basic human decency that should be more prevalent, but it's not. It's become more of an anomaly, right? But
Yeah.
I have co-labored with her in some different things, and that comes out in everything that she does for the community and for the veterans around. So we thank you for that.
It's an honor.
No, yeah, absolutely. So what have you done so far in this town, like as far as in the community? What are some of the things that you continue to do to raise awareness?
We have some events that we have usually in the fall. We have the Honor and Courage 5K and Salute to Heroes car show and concert. So that brings in some revenue for us, and just Americans, generous Americans, donating $25 here and $25 there, and it makes me proud to know that their hard-earned dollars are going straight to our veterans and helping to save lives.
Absolutely. And as far as your hotline goes, you were doing this at first.
I've actually been running hotlines and my own for almost 19 years now.
Wow.
For veterans.
Yeah. And that's a all-day kind of a thing?
All day. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I get up and walk out of restaurants at times to take calls in the middle of the night, but it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the feeling that you're able to lend a real, actual helping hand or a comforting word to somebody who is struggling, especially our veterans who are mostly neglected these days. I'm sure it means a lot to them and to you, and it offers that fulfillment of purpose, right? So, and now you're involved with this, right? So how does how is that jumping in? Because you actually served, right? You were in the forces, and
Yes.
so you bring a different perspective as well.
So I do bring that perspective, and I think that's why I really connected with Heather, just because of her passion and love for the veterans, the military, and the veteran community, and just her being there for us in our times of need, where maybe other organizations would throw you a couple dollars and then leave you and move on. Where again, this organization was all about, her accepting us into her family. And so after we had connected, I believe it was like a couple years of constantly staying in touch and then being involved in the 5K, and she had asked me to come on board to help out with the crisis hotline. And so that's been several years of doing that, and
now he's my co-founder for the Honor and Courage Foundation.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. I love the name. I love, I don't wear a lot of branded T-shirts. Actually, there's maybe 2 or 3, literally. And Honor and Courage is one of them for sure. Because people love it. They look at it. They, give me a second look, and there's a question asked, and I'm proud to say that I am part of this. I support this, and kind of show that. So, what do you think as a community? What can we do as a community to kind of join hands with you? What are some of the tangible ways that people in the community who have not heard or have heard and they don't know? Some people are like, I don't know what to do with a hotline, or I don't know, I'm not really a runner, or whatever. What are some of the ways?
We're always looking for people to join our committee for the 5K and the car show. We need some help with that, so that would be a big help to us. Just support in general, donations would definitely help us a lot.
Sure. You got anything to add to that, John?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's just to continue to support, especially the veteran community. We're here for the Vietnam veterans too, which is, I feel like, is a community that is starting to become forgotten.
Yeah.
And it was during a difficult time that the Vietnam veterans came home from war, and often, unfortunately, were spit on and not treated too well.
Exactly.
And so I think that's kind of where we're at, is, again, wanting to continue to raise awareness for that, but then also raise awareness for the current veterans and the mental health struggles that we are facing. Same with law enforcement and first responders, the struggles that we're all experiencing with mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to touch on that, I'd actually like John to talk a little bit more about our stellate ganglion block program, which I think is changing the lives and saving lives of our veterans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the stellate ganglion block is a procedure that I've had done about 3 times. It's really been life-changing. I really struggled after my deployment to Afghanistan, in and out of inpatient treatments for many, many years, struggled with really severe panic attacks to where I could barely function in everyday life. And my wife actually found this procedure called the stellate ganglion block, which is considered experimental right now. Even though it's been done for about 100 years for pain, it's experimental because it's treating PTSD, which isn't, really what it was approved for originally. But just kind of the basis of what it is they stick a needle into the neck and coat the stellate ganglion nerve with a local anesthetic that wears off after about 8 hours. It's completely out of the body. But what it does, it basically resets the brain and eliminates all or close to all of the physiological responses of trauma. So the panic attacks really helps with anxiety, which ultimately will lead to a reduction in depression. This is not a magic bullet, but it works really fantastic when mixed with therapy. It just allows individuals just to talk about, what they need to work on in therapy. But it's really been life-changing, at least for my life, where I would have multiple panic attacks every week. I haven't had one in years.
Okay.
And so it's seriously a life-changing procedure that people don't know about. And so this is kind of our purpose and our goal too, is to spread awareness and then also support our veterans and first responders to be able to get this procedure done.
All right.
Yeah, and most of the VAs don't cover the expense of the stellate ganglion block, and that's where the Honor and Courage Foundation will cover the cost of that.
Absolutely.
So each procedure is about $2,000. So
And that's done locally, or is it you have to go to a specific place for that?
the doctor that we use is in Maryland,
Okay,
but there are other places that do the procedure as well.
that's great. That's just great to know, and it's something that most people who are involved with, not even understanding PTSD, having a family member. They're looking for options, or they don't know how to deal, and they say the things that are not most useful to someone struggling with pain or that kind of trauma, right? And so this could be, hey, if you're looking for a sliver of hope, like you said, it's not the magic bullet, but if there is a way to ease the pain and to bring someone back to that normalcy, that's awesome.
Exactly.
So no, I applaud that, and I'm glad that you're in this community, bringing awareness to that and providing even opportunities for that. So that's great. Anything else you want to add as far as, you want to just give us your social media pages or your websites?
Sure. Our website is www.honorandcouragefoundation.org, and you can find us on Facebook at Honor and Courage Foundation. Our event page is the Honor and Courage 5K. I think that's all the pages that we have.
All right. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And we live in the day of social media, right? So people have quick, attention spans that are fleeting, but we can use that as a vehicle. So if someone sees you on social media, it's a good thing to maybe share it. Or
I just wanted to touch on one thing that John had mentioned about the Vietnam veterans. A lot of people think that the bulk of the calls that I receive on the hotline is from the younger veterans, and it's not. It's from the Vietnam vets. About 60% of the calls that I get are from Vietnam veterans, and I have a soft spot for the Vietnam vets.
Yeah.
They're getting older, they're retired. A lot of them are falling ill, so they have more time to reflect on their service in Vietnam. So their PTSD is resurfacing.
Yeah.
So they are still struggling, and I'm very proud that the Honor and Courage Foundation is there to help them through anything that they need.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for what you both do and continue to do, and we'll see how we can join hands and join in this mission the best we can.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks.